Good morning, everyone. I'm East Coast Pete. This is my show, Mid-Rock Crisis. Today we're going to talk about the beautiful and talented Depeche Mode, an English band starting in 1980. Dave Gahan as lead singer-songwriter, Martin Gore on keyboards, guitar, and the main songwriting, and Andy Fletcher on keyboards. This is the present lineup. Vince Clarke and Alan Wilder were around for 1 and 13 years, respectively. By the end of the decade, Depeche Mode were giants in the electronic music scene. The Cure influenced Vince Clarke and Andy Fletcher in '77. They started a band called Romance in China. In 1979, Clarke played in an Ultravox ripoff band called The Plan. Martin Gore was a guitarist in an acoustic trio called Norman and the Worms. In 1980, Clarke, Gore, and Fletcher formed Composition of Sound. Clarke became aware of electronic music. He heard orchestral maneuvers. Other early influences were the Human League, Danielle Miklar, and Fad Gadget. Clarke and Fletcher switched to synthesizers. Now, the name Depeche Mode was taken from a French fashion magazine. It means hurried fashion. Depeche means dispatch or news report. Mode or fashion. So, Depeche Mode roughly means fashion news. Did you get all that? Their first demo, they personally delivered copies to record companies. They would be persuasive to get a listening, and execs would say, just leave your tape. But they said, no, it's our only copy, and would move on to the next company. Interesting way of going about that, I guess. Danielle Millar, an electronics musician, heard Depeche Mode play live. Miller was also a founder of Mute Records, and he approached the band to make a single. This resulted in Dreaming of Me in 1980. It reached number 57 in the UK. The second single, New Life, went to number 11 in the UK and got a spot on Top of the Pops. The band traveled to the BBC offices by train, hauling their synthesizers. Just Can't Get Enough became their first top 10 signal. Rolling Stone magazine called them PG-rated fluff. Clarke didn't like touring, interviewing, and photo ops. He also disliked fan mail. Just not cut out for publicity. So he left. He surfaced in blues band Yazoo. Gore took over lyrics duties. Classically trained pianist Alan Wilder was attracted by an ad in Melody Maker. Quote, name band, synthesize, must be under 21. And Wilder was 22, but came on as a touring member, soon to be fully fledged. Now, Alan Wilder was the creative force, Martin Gore was the conceptual force, and Dave Gahan was the attitude. In 1982, the See You single went to number 6 in the UK, beating the Clarke singles. The band became hard-edged and industrial when Wilder brought a synclavier and a sampler to the studio. and they'd sample everyday sounds to be forged into a new industrial sound. The resulting album was Construction Time Again in 1983. It went to number 30, or actually higher, almost everywhere. The band toured Europe. Everybody likes a new subgenre. First mass success was limited to Europe and Australia. This changed in 1984 with the release of People Are People. And this was a hit in Ireland and Poland, the UK and Switzerland, and was number one in West Germany. Where is used as a theme song for the 1984 Olympics. It also reached number 13. And a Canadian top 20. It also became an anthem for the LGBT community. Record sales were not representative for the popularity of live shows, where mobs of fans would sell out the venues. The World We Live In and Live in Hamburg was the band's first video release, a concert in its entirety. Depeche Mode would tour in Budapest and Warsaw in 1985, and this meant being behind the Iron Curtain back then. In 1986, another new direction away from industrial and into atmospheric, and Gore's lyrics turned darker. The single Stripped and the album Black Celebration and the music video A Question of Time all reflect the change. In 1987, Music for the Masses, hate that, don't you? Saw more shifts in their approach, giving sampling up and relying on synthesizers. The tech had improved in 5 years, and synthesizers seemed limitless. In 1988, the band saw a U.S. tour chronicled by filmmaker P.A. Pennebaker on his concert footage called 101, named for the 101st and last show on the tour. In 1989, the single Personal Jesus was accompanied by a promotion that gave fans a phone number they could call and hear the song before its release. This tactic worked, and the single went to number 13 in the US. The Violator album sold 4.5 million in the US alone and became Depeche Mode's bestseller worldwide. In 1992, Dave Gahan was intrigued with Seattle's grunge scene. Depeche Mode's album Songs of Faith and Devotion relied on distorted guitars and organic drums played by Alan Wilder. Strings, pipes, and a female gospel choir also was added. And why not? I Feel You single was grungy, and the devotional tour was called Debauched Rock and Roll. In 1995, Alan Wilder left, citing an imbalance in the workload, and then he released his own Unsound Methods in 1997. Gahan was burned out, but Gore wanted to go on. Gahan became a no-show at the studio. A full 6-week session at Electric Ladyland in New York City yielded only one usable vocal. They opted to postpone touring to get healthy. When they returned to the ride, Wilder was replaced by drummer Christian Eigner and keyboardist Peter Giordano. Then, in 2003, Gahan released a solo album called Paper Monsters. Gore put out his own solo effort, Counterfeit. 2005, Depeche Mode's 11th studio album, Playing the Angel, was released. Gahan wrote the lyrics instead of Gore. The tour was a blockbuster success and live DVD was released. Touring the Angel, Live in Milan. And then in 2008, Sounds of the Universe album came out. Dave Gahan was felled by gastroencephalitis. The doctors found a tumor, a low-grade tumor, on his bladder that couldn't have been pleasant. 16 concerts were canceled. In 2013, Delta Machine, they can do no wrong. Even Johnny Cash got on board with a cover of Personal Jesus. 2017, Spirit, another world tour. Depeche Mode has now sold over 100 million units worldwide. Pretty good for a fluff or a GP rated band. Huh, Rolling Stone? I like to say that sometimes. Not that anybody's listening. Maybe they will. Hi, Rolling Stone. Is there still a Rolling Stone magazine? I'll have to check. So, 2018, Hall of Fame nomination. Albums Speak and Spell, A Broken Frame, Construction Time Again, Some Great Reward, Black Celebration, Music for the Masses, Violator, Songs of Faith and Devotion, Ultra Exciter, Playing the Angel, Sounds of the Universe, Delta Machine, and Spirit. The LGBT darlings have created a spiritual monument of rock stardom and heroin addiction. The non-Jesus freaks who nonetheless have Jesus, spirit, faith, and devotion partying their way to digital heaven. Why the fuck not? Well, I'll tell you why not. Heroin. It's a killer. You want to take that ride? Go ahead, but you're not playing with a living set of cards. You're just hastening the inevitable. And let me tell you something. I'm not a young guy. You can tell that, right? And I'm not just talking off the top of my head. I have experience with this stuff. And you don't want to do that, ever. So stop it. I mean it. All right, well, if you're still out there and still listening, more power to you, but listen to some Depeche Mode, if you haven't already. According to all these fans, I'm pretty sure you have. Thanks for being with me. I'll see you next time on Mid-Rock Crisis. Be well.